in the future, 1,000 point gorilla is coming up. It's quantum computing. If you're sure of it, I was talking to someone on a different podcast, and this person and this agency is into quantum computing. They are working for IBM as well, and IBM owns about 6 quantum computers. As of now, so they're creating a hybrid system where our server speeds are going to be 150 times what they are right now, 150 at least. So our world is going to be very fast now. It's going to be, anything that will just click would be just easily accessible. Do you think, and I've not talked to any designer as of yet about it, but do you think that we are moving more into 3D space in the interfaces? How would the interfaces change when the servers are 150 times faster?
Yeah, I don't think, performance is massively important on websites because of people's short attention spans, etc. But I don't feel that server speeds are going to be a primary. I think we've almost crossed that barrier. There's no reason that the problem we face now is not to do with server speeds, it's to do with connectivity speeds. And of course, that's improving as well. I think what's more interesting in terms of the future of the web is actually the impact that AI is having and will increasingly have. That I think the role of websites, individual websites, is going to probably quite radically change. So at the moment, the majority of people still go to a website to find information. Sure, Google will surface some information directly within it, and so there's less need to click through to a website. But I think increasingly, as we have these conversational interfaces and these large language models, the most of our interactions to gain information will actually be via those models and the interface, those conversational interfaces with those models. I don't think that's going to replace websites. For a start, those large language models are going to need to train off of something. But also, I think people will still want to click through to, validate the information they're getting back from the large language model and to get additional context around it. So what all this means is that I think that jump in computing power that you were talking about, really the benefit is mainly going to become around the response time of these large language models. At the moment, there is a delay in them responding to you. I think that delay will become less and less significant over time. So those conversations will become much more natural over time, and we will rely less on visiting individual websites to get answers to very specific questions. They'll become more of a research tool, a context tool, etc.
Okay, but at the same time, these language models are getting the data from the websites. So at the same time, websites are going to be relevant. So I feel that it's going to be a hybrid world. Where people are going to
go
Google.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to go to Google, and they're going to check through ChatGPT and other LLMs at the same time, because I've been using it, and sometimes it lies. Sometimes then I re-ask it, "Are you sure?" Then it says, "No, I'm not that sure, but you have to check it. Go and check online."
Yeah. And that raises some interesting questions, right? You are entirely right, and that's exactly what I was driving at. That I'm not saying websites are going to go away; they're going to be what the large language models use, and in addition, they're also going to be a context checker, so people can go through to a website to confirm what you're being told by the large language model and to have additional information around that. But think about that from a user interface point of view, right? We may well be going back to the way that the web originally was, because suddenly need for complex navigational hierarchies are going away. People are going to be deep linked to individual pages. Perhaps we don't need traditional navigation. Now, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. This is just pure speculation on my part. But perhaps actually what we'll end up with is organizations will have, there'll still be the web apps, there'll be the applications, although eventually I suspect even those will move into, some kind of AI interface, but that's further ahead. So there'll still be web apps, but in terms of informational websites, I'm wondering whether we'll end up with repositories of documents, individual documents, rather than an interlinked website in the traditional manner that we have it today? I don't know. But it will be interesting to see how things evolve and things adapt. And yes, large language models get it wrong. And I think they will continue to get it wrong for a long length of time. And so I don't see there will still be a need for users to visit websites. We're not going to get to the place anytime soon where organizations can basically publish JSON files that a large language model can just read directly, and that is their website. I don't think we're going to be at that for a while, but it is quite interesting how it could change the nature of how we design websites if users are basically deep linking in, which we're already beginning to see, of course, through Google. The home pages tend not to be the most traffic pages anymore,
Right. How would that be for UI designers?
Interesting. This is why I'm quite glad I'm a UX designer instead of a UI designer, because I'm just as interested in conversational interfaces as I am in UI interfaces. There is still a lot of work for a UI designer. The nature of that work will change. So there are some websites that are experiential websites, right? So if you're going, for example, to a website, the Harry Potter website, right? For example, it's a destination site in its own right. Okay. So you're going to want beautiful design. You're going to want a great interface. You're going to want interactivity and animation and all those kinds of things. That's going to stay the same. Web apps are still going to need those interface elements that we're very familiar with today. So it's not going to fundamentally change that. The area it's going to impact is pure informational websites. And what I mean by that is, for example, my own website, a blog, right? Or maybe your corporate website, right? That really is just a marketing brochure with a bit of functionality built into it. Now, those are the examples that are going to change. And I think what you'll see is a shift away from graphic design with all of its branding and all of its stuff like that, towards more informational design, where it's more about readability, legibility, accessibility, scannability of content, those kinds of things. But again, I'm making this up. I've no more idea than you have, really. Telling the future is a fool's game. I've been working in the industry for 27 years now. And I went through years of writing, what 2024 has got in store. I never got it right. Nobody ever does. There's always a curveball that comes in and ruins it all. But that's my current thinking.